serious and severe. Joining me today are MEMA Director Don Brantley and members of the fantastic MEMA team who've been coordinating our statewide response. I'm also joined by Lieutenant Colonel Daniel Tucker, the Massachusetts State Police, and Lieutenant Colonel Barron of the Massachusetts National Guard. The bottom line is this nor'easter has been, as expected, a really, really powerful storm. And at this point, everybody's out, everybody's working incredibly hard to clear the roads. But the snow is still coming down pretty hard, and it will be for a while. The wind is still blowing, which gets in the way of a whole lot of things. And for everyone's own safety, we beg and ask everybody to stay off of the roads so that the crews can get out there and do what they need to do. People have done a very good job so far of staying off the roads, and we just ask them to continue to stay off the roads for the next really several hours, well into the night, if not into tomorrow morning. We'll let you know when you can be back on the roads. According to meteorologists, we haven't seen a snowstorm quite like this, as intense in at least 4 years, and some are comparing it to the blizzard of '78. That's because of the quality of the snow, the amount of the snow, and also just the wind gusts, which are so significant. Snowfall rates have remained high across the state. Totals in many places in the state have already exceeded 2 feet, certainly in eastern Massachusetts, and it's going to continue to keep falling, we expect, until later this evening. Wind gusts reached hurricane force levels. We saw 79, 80 miles per hour in places on the Outer Cape, up to 60 miles per hour across eastern Massachusetts. Visibility as a result has been close to zero. So a few things to know as we move forward. The state of emergency remains in effect for those traveling on the Pike. And again, it's only those who need to travel, first responders, those providing medical assistance, and really only those who need to be on the road. The speed limit for the Mass Pike is 40 miles an hour. This is new information. Based on what's happening, I've instituted a travel ban for Plymouth, Bristol, and Barnstable counties. So that's the South Coast and Cape Cod. We needed to do this because this is a particularly hard-hit area. We need to have the ability for all essential vehicle travel to be able to go through. And anybody who doesn't need to be on the road should not be on the road. So basically, travel ban in place. You can't be on the road on the Cape or on the South Coast. That's Bristol, Plymouth, and Barnstable counties, okay? The only people in those places who can drive right now are people like first responders, public emergency personnel, utility crews, and the private contractors who are supporting those efforts, food and fuel delivery, and medical staff. Now, that's not just doctors and nurses, it's also those that are providing support services as well. So if you don't fall into one of those categories, don't be on the road in Bristol, Plymouth, and Barnstable counties. We also have reports of abandoned trucks and cars, stuck vehicles on roads around Massachusetts. Again, this is a reason we just don't want you out there, because it creates burden on our first responders. And as I say, we'll let you know when you can get back out on the roads. There are also areas that have been particularly hard hit. I mentioned the South Coast, the Cape. We are surging and directing extra resources towards those areas. So far, fortunately, we've seen fewer crashes than usual. That's a good thing, and I think people are paying attention and not getting on the roads, but really that needs to continue. I want to talk about power outages. Unfortunately, we have had some, of course. Right now, Eversource and National Grid are reporting a combined total of about 290,000 power outages around the state. Again, it's mostly Nantucket, the Vineyard, the Cape, along the South Coast, and some parts of the North Shore. We've been very proactive and in constant communication with the utility companies about these outages. I can tell you, I just got off the phone with them now again. They've got extra crew staged. They've got more crews coming in, but this takes time. And when it comes to power restoration, the issue really isn't going to be crews. We've got the crews, they've got the crews there, and more crews are coming. The issue is going to be access. So when does the wind die down enough so that it's safe for people to get out in bucket trucks? That's one thing that needs to happen. And then the other thing is that the roads need to be clear so that these utility companies and crews can get into these areas. So the restoration of power has been slowed by the weather. In terms of additional information that I wanted to share with you, we expect tomorrow to have the T and the commuter rail remain on that reduced schedule service. We've also suspended the ride for the time being. Anybody who needs services, we're reaching out to, but we've got to do everything we can to limit the number of people on the roads right now. As I mentioned yesterday, we were deploying the National Guard. We've got 200 National Guards people out there right now assisting, and we continue to be there to respond specifically to particular regions that are needing help at this time. So bottom line, stay off the roads. We're going to have to be patient. This is going to continue, it looks like, for a little while longer. Power restoration, I know crews are going to get after it aggressively as soon as the wind dies down and it's safe to get out there and the roads are cleared for them. But be sure to check in on your neighbors, and also if you are somebody who needs to get to a warming shelter, you've lost power or you're cold, call 211. Resources are available. We'll make sure that you can get, and we'll get you to a place where you and your family can be warm and safe in the interim. But appreciate everybody's efforts out there. I'd now like to turn it over to MEMA Director Don Brantley.
Good afternoon, and thank you, Governor Healey. This has been quite a storm so far, and there is still more to come. We're not out of the woods yet, but the most important thing that we can ask the public to do right now is to continue to stay off the roads if at all possible. It's really just too treacherous to be out there right now with downed power lines, fallen branches and trees, stranded cars, and still limited visibility. Staying home is the safest thing that you can do for yourself, your family, and for the first responders and plow crews out there doing their best in a very difficult conditions. Here at the Governor's State Emergency Operations Center, we continue to collaborate and work with our partner agencies, coordinating resource deployment, supporting municipal requests for assistance, and at Governor Healey's direction, we will remain activated tonight and tomorrow and are prepared to staff additional operational periods as needed. Many of our emergency support function partners are supporting the activation, facilitating rapid communication and coordination among multiple agencies and jurisdictions. MEMA staff have worked with partners in the room to support requests for high water and rescue vehicles, snow equipment, generators, and more. 25 cities and towns have reported to MEMA that they have declared local states of emergency, and our Regional Operations Center are in close communication to identify needs and available resources. Localities have reported 17 warming centers open with a capacity to support 779 individuals across the East Coast of the state, and 4 shelters open with a capacity to shelter 380 individuals. The storm has knocked out power for more than 290,000 people across eastern Massachusetts, and as Governor Healey mentioned, this is going to be potentially a multi-day restoration period, so we want to just echo that if you do need support from a warming center or shelter, call 211 to find the nearest location so that you and your family can stay safe, particularly if you've lost electricity and your heating source. We want to make sure that you have available space there. So during a storm like this, it's really important to check in on your neighbors, especially those who may be elderly or those with medical devices that rely on electricity. If you're using a generator, it's essential that you run it outdoors to avoid carbon monoxide poisoning. And if you lose power, please make sure that your smoke detectors, carbon monoxide detectors are functioning. Together, we're getting through this blizzard, and thanks to the Healey-Driscoll administration for their leadership and to all the workers who are doing their best to keep us safe until this storm clears.
Thanks, Director. Any questions?
How did you make the decision to do the travel ban, and based on what we see in the forecast, when should people expect, how long should people expect they'll see it?
Well, look, we'll let you know as soon as we feel comfortable, but the snow's, first off, it's got to stop snowing and the winds have got to die down, and we need time for people to get out and clear the roads. DOT at the state level will work hard to clear state roads and provide whatever assistance we can, whether it's extra equipment, plows, loaders, and the like, to cities and towns that need it. But there's a lot of snow, so it's going to take some time. So we'll do it, as soon as we can, but we want to do it at a time that's safe. In terms of the travel ban, okay, the travel ban is limited to just those 3 counties, the South Coast and the Cape. But, it's a serious situation there. We've got to be able to get snow cleared as quickly as possible so that we can get power restored as quickly as possible. And that's why we don't need people on the road who shouldn't be on the road, because we end up with people get into accidents, their cars, go off into a ditch. There are other issues that create issues for people. We need to be doing other things right now. So that's why we took the step that we did around the travel ban. In terms of tomorrow, I think what you'll see is you'll see school closures. Some have already announced. That makes a lot of sense because there's a lot to dig out from. So people just got to be in place, I think, for tomorrow. Pay attention to local guidance on all of that. At the state level, again, the employees, those who can work remotely, should be working remotely tomorrow as well. We'll continue with that.
Can you talk about the National Guard in Duxbury, why they were called there, what they will be doing there?
Yeah, we got a report of that. I know that we've sent 4 guardsmen to Duxbury and some equipment to help out. This is an area with some flooding. I think there was snow blocking a particular street, and they needed some help in getting that cleared. But, it's just an example of, first of all, the nimbleness of the Guard and why I activated them the other day, because I want them to be able to get out to any trouble spots and help take care of issues. We've got 200 Guards people who have been deployed around the state and are there doing the great work that we have come to know and expect of the Guard.
Any other communities asking for the Guards doing right now that we're aware of?
I think what communities are asking for is they're asking for help with clearing snow. And, I've asked for support from Vermont, from New York, as well as New Hampshire, just to surge as many resources, because you don't want to get behind here, and I'd rather have more resources in place so that we can dig out sooner and get back to business. So we've got a lot of assets that we've brought in from elsewhere. Again, the utilities were doing this days ahead. We were doing this days ahead in terms of stationing both Department of Transportation resources as well as National Guard resources in areas that we thought were going to be problematic. And the areas that we thought were going to be problematic, the South Coast, the Cape, parts of the North Shore, indeed turned out to be the problem areas. But, the teams are in place.
What resources did you ask from the other states?
It's really equipment to remove snow, to clear snow. I mean, we've got big plows that we use out on the highways, but you need smaller equipment, plows to maneuver through cities and towns. You also need loaders, to be able to take the snow away and clear the snow away. We got a lot of that in Massachusetts, but we're New England and New York. I had a good conversation with my friend Governor Hochul, and we help each other out in times like this, and that's what's happening.
You've been in several storms before, you travel around today. What do you think of the weather in the roads out there? Are people listening, staying off the roads from where you travel?
This is a really bad storm. I was 7 years old and the blizzard is 78. I can't compare exactly because everything was big in my eyes. My birthday party got canceled. But I can tell you this is as bad as I've seen it. I shoveled early this morning and, just watched it fill right up. And the winds, I think the winds are the biggest problem. Both they keep the utility crews from getting out to be able to restore some power in places. And they also just kick up a lot of stuff. You guys have been on the roads. The visibility is horrible. That said, people have been really good about staying off the roads. So keep being good, Massachusetts, okay? Keep listening to that, and, we'll get through this.
Governor, how many days do you think it will take to restore power to everybody? What should they be bracing for?
I think a couple of days, in my conversations with the utilities. Look, I know they're going to work as quickly as possible. They brought in crews not only from New England and the Northeast, but from Canada as well. And again, it's not going to be so much about the number, the person power. It really is about getting access in. So that's why the wind's got to stop and the snow's got to stop, and we got to be able to clear the areas. But we could be in for a couple of days. Obviously, they're restoring power as quickly as they can. I believe it was either Cape Cod Hospital or Cottage in Nantucket. I expect them to. I think they're just now getting their power restored. So, people are working as we go as quickly as they can.
What are the consequences of not following travel ban?
You're going to get in trouble. Where's the lieutenant colonel? All right, I'll let the lieutenant colonel speak to this, but there's fines. You'll get charged, but for Lieutenant Colonel, what do you have to say to that?
Thank you, Governor. Yeah, there's a $500 fine if you violate the travel ban. That's the last thing the state police wants to be dealing with. I mean, we just want the public to stay off the road, allow us to do our job along with our partners at DOT and the National Guard, because right now there's a lot of disabled motor vehicles. I think at 2 o'clock we had over 350 disabled motor vehicles across the state. 119 of those were in the greater Boston area and 111 were in the South Shore area. So we just need help from the public to maintain that consistency with the travel ban, and we'll get all the roads open up.
Great. Thanks, Colonel.
What's the biggest threat to public safety right now? Is it the winds that you're concerned about, or what's the biggest thing?
I think from my perspective, we want to get power on. We don't want people to be cold. That's why I call 211. If you need a warming shelter, we'll make sure you get to a warming shelter. But the restoration of power, I think, is first and foremost, and that's why we need people to be off the roads, and we need the equipment there, and we're working to move as quickly as we can on that. Fortunately, the tides were good. It's good that we had tides at 3 a.m., 3 p.m. They didn't coincide with the direct height of the storm, or at least the first high tide preceded real snow. So that was good. We've seen less, I think, coastal flooding than in some other instances, but the wind gusts have been significant. I mean, they're hurricane force level, and that's a real problem.
Historically speaking, how rare is a travel ban like this?
Remember?
2015 was the last time.
Yep.
Yes.
2015. Yeah. Pretty infrequent, I think, and if you go back, you'd have to go back several years before that.
Is this one where the meteorologists got it right, and it's dealing with the reality of what the storm is?
Yeah, I'm not going to pick on meteorologists. I think they did. I think that they told us, both our state meteorologist through MEMA does a fantastic job, but also what you all have been reporting. I think it tracked pretty closely to what they had been saying, which is why we were able to proactively deploy assets, and resources to regions that we thought were going to be particularly harder hit.
Do we know when the winds are going to start to die down again?
Did you get a report on that? Thanks.
So according to our agency meteorologist, the winds were starting to die down as early as 8 o'clock, and we're supposed to be really starting to die down at noon. So that will be helpful in the blowing snow and the plows being able to get back out on the roads, because we had reports of plows and tow trucks that were getting buried by blowing snow as they were plowing roads. So we're excited to see the wind numbers come down.
Yeah, it's still windy. I mean, I was out there, though. You guys still see, there's still wind, so, it's not quite where we want it to be yet.
And as you think about there's snow in the forecast going forward, what goes through your mind?
First things first, let's take care of this, and then we'll, get ready for the next. But we want to, look, one of the challenges with a storm like this is we already had a lot of snow accumulation on the ground. In fact, we had the most snow on the ground for any storm since 2015. It was at that level, right? So, we've got a lot of snow on the ground. We need the time to get that cleared, particularly in tight spots of the city. As you come around a corner, snowbanks. I mean, all this stuff is really important that we have the opportunity to get to and to clear, so that we're all the more ready for the next snow. The snow will end. I know the snow will end, but we're going out with a bang here, it looks like.
So do you see this as the worst winter since 2015?
Yeah. I mean, I've only been, in my experience as governor, yeah, and I think as a resident, sure, 2015 was a hell of a year. But I think a lot of people are like, they've had enough of the snow. And this is certainly one that, a storm that puts a lot of burden on people, puts a lot of burden on people out doing the plowing and the power restoration, the crews, and, it just puts a lot of burden on all of our residents, too. Also, be careful. When you do go out to shovel, be careful, Well, that's a time, when we know there can be more cardiac issues, so take it easy.
Parents coming off of school vacation, thinking about potential another snow day, what's your message to them?
Just God bless you. Be patient. You'll get there. We'll all get there. Look, it's and this was a challenge too for people. End of school vacation, travel times. People had plans botched. It's tough. So, this is a time where everybody needs a little grace with one another. And on the home front, we just do what you need to do, and we'll get the kiddos back in school as quickly as we can.
Okay, last question again. Happy belated.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. You guys take care out there. It's very dangerous for you too, so be careful. All right? I appreciate the reporting. I started watching you early this morning. Really? Yeah.
Who are you watching?
Everybody.